Go to the Chitas of today. They're holding in the portion of Vayera. They're holding in the book of Genesis, chapter 18, verse number 1. And God appeared to Abraham in the plains of Mamre. And he was sitting at the entrance of the tent, as in the heat of the day. Rashi says, why did God come to visit him? In order to visit the sick. Rabbi Chama bar Chanina said it was the third day of his circumcision, and when it's most painful. And the Holy One, blessed be He, came to visit him, to visit the sick. That's why it's a big mitzvah to be mavaka chayla, to visit the sick. Why would he say where it was in the plains of Mamre? And the answer is that Mamre was a person who gave him the idea, so to say, beforehand, actually, before God commanded him even, that he has to do Milah. And Laficha Niga Bechelke, therefore he merited that Avram Avinu should be in his land, so to say. Yeshev, he was sitting. The word is written with a vav, so without a vav, I mean, indicating in the past tense, Yoshav, suggestion that he began sitting now. That he began sitting now, although the fact he was already seated. He wished to stand up, but the Holy One, blessed be, said, "Sit down, and I will stand. You serve as a precedent to your descendants. In the future, I will stand in the assembly of the rabbinical judges, as it says, Elikim Nitza Badas Kel, that God stands in the assembly of judges." So therefore, whatever, that's why the expression, the Gemara, Ma'isa Av is similar bottom, that everything that happened to Avram Avinu was a simon that would be in the future generations. Pesach Ha'el, why was he sitting at the door of the tent? To see if anybody's going back, if anybody passing the house. Why was it very hot that day? The Holy One, blessed be He, took the sun out of its sheath in order not to bother Abraham and the travels. But when he saw that Avram was upset, that the travelers no travelers are coming because it was extremely hot, he therefore sent angels in the form of men. And he looked up and he saw that there were three people standing near him, in front of him. And he saw them. It's the cross, and he ran towards them. He passed a chayil from the door of the tents. And he prostrated himself on the ground. Now she says, why did three angels come? One of them came to inform him that the son is going to give birth. One was to overturn stone, and one came to cure Avram Avinu. For one angel does not carry out two missions. You can realize this, that throughout this passage, that the angels are mentioned in the plural. They ate, they asked him, we're concerning the announcement, you'll see it always says in the singular. And I will surely return to you in regard to overturn. So I will overturn. So therefore, they all came together, but each one had a different job, so to say. The angel of Fall, who healed Avram, went to save Lot. This was a second mission. This was explained what it says when they let them out. He said, "Run for your life," which is learned that one of them came to rescue Lot. Yitzhav and Olav, it was standing over him, means before him, the fun of. We find Olav can also mean before him, especially talking about angels. Vayar, he took note. What is implying the repetition of Vayar? The first one had a usual meaning, he saw. And the second one is expression of understanding. He saw that they were standing in one place, and he understood they did not want to bother. And although they knew that he would go out to greet them, they nevertheless remained standing in their place, same place, out of respect for him, to show him that they did not wish to give him any troubles. But he took the initiative and he ran towards them. In Baba Metzia, the Gemara, it says at first it's written they were standing near him, and then it says he ran towards them, which is apparently a contradiction. However, it's not. It means they saw him, they first drew near, and then they saw him that he was untying and tying his bandage. He was great in pain. and they left him. And that's why he ran after them. And he said, my master, if you find pleasing in the eyes, don't go away from my servant. Don't run away, don't leave. And here's a beautiful Rashi, because the question is, who is he talking to? When he says the word Adonai, who is he talking to? He's talking to God, or is he talking to the angels? Simple meaning, Rashi says he spoke to the leader of the angels, but he referred to all of them as lords. He then asked the leader, please do not pass by, for he would not depart, because if the main guy would not depart, who he thought it was the main guy, his companions also remain. According to this explanation, the word Adonai over here in this pasuk is not a holy name of God. It goes on Lord. He called the angel Lord. Another explanation is it is a holy meaning. It means God, referring to God. He was asking the Holy One, blessed be He, to wait until He would run and bring His guest. So He told God, who came to meet Him, who came to visit Him, that He should wait a couple of minutes. Although it's written He ran towards them, the request is made beforehand. The Torah sometimes is ordered in this manner. As I explained, concerning my spirit will not continue to deliberate over humanity, which is written after Noah had sons. Where it's only possible to say that the decree was 120 years preceding the death of Noah by the children, 20 years. So therefore, it's lav dafka that the pasuk the psukim don't always go in order, as we know. Rashi says that later. Therefore, it could be that he's saying to God, even though officially the previous verse it said he ran towards the angels, but over here he spoke to God. He said, "Wait," and then the Gemara says it's greater to have guests in your house than even the presence of God. Verse number 4: You can know might take some a little water, but and wash your feet, and recline under the tree. Now she says the passive voice implies that Rem suggestion water be brought by means of a messenger. The Holy One, blessed be He, therefore repaid his descendants. When they asked him for water as a messenger, it says Moses raised his hands and struck the rock. So it was done through a messenger. Really should have done through daily. This was a little slip up. He should have done through himself. Wash your feet. He thought they were Arabs who worshiped the dust of the feet. And he was particular not to let them bring the idol into the house. Lloyd, however, later on in the story, who is not particular about this, mentions the lodging before washing. Spend the night and bathe and wash your feet. But Avram Avinu didn't want to bring their idols into their house. Tachas ha'etz, under the tree. Verse number 5, and then take some bread. Besadu libchem, and make it be happy. Then you can go on. Because that's where you pass by. When they said, yes, we'll do as you said. Now she says, so that you can gather strength in the Torah, in the prophets, and in the writing, we find that bread is the sustenance of the heart. Bread. That's why Suda is on bread. When you make a simcha, you make a Suda, is always bread. The Sadu libchem, which means sustain your heart. The prophet sustain your heart through a piece of bread. In the writings, it says the bread sustains the heart of men. Abchama said it's not even levavchem with the two vavs, which like was in the Shema, which refers to the heart as a seat of both good and bad. In Galatians, it says libchem. So he slipped already. Avraham Avinu, in the subconscious, knew that they were angels, and therefore he said your heart. He didn't say your hearts. This teaches the inclination has no influence on the angels, and therefore he uses the word libchem in a singular word. Achataveru, if you go on. For this why I asked you, since you have honored me by visiting me. Ki al kain, the same meaning as Allah, because. Ki al kain occurs in scripture, and his meaning is Ki, I've asked you al kain because. They come in the shelter of my roof. For Ki is accepted a gift since al. I behave Ki, because I give you Ki. For Ki al kain, familiar, so because we know that Ki the word key can have different four different meanings. So over here, it's because. Vayamar Avram v'holol Sarah, and Avram ran to the tent of Sarah. Vayem Amari shalosh seed kat machselas, make quickly bread. Gather three saw of flour and lushi and knead it. Vasi udois, and make loaves of bread. Now she says fine flour for making cakes. The coarse of flour for making cooked starch to cover the surface. The pot to observe the scum. That's why they use the flour for many different reasons. And therefore, over here, you want to silus this. So flour at that time was used for cooking. It was used also to cover things. It was used also to take away the scum of the food on top of the food. So therefore, over here, he said silus. You take the best flour. And then Avram ran to the cattle. We took one tender, choicey calf for each guest. And he gave it to the lad to prepare these calves. Now she says there were 3 calves, so they to feed, because he wanted to give each one of them tongue with mustard. So tongue is the choicest food, and therefore he actually made 3 calves for these 3 people. Alanar, who is the lad? Yishmael. This was Yishmael, who was then 13 years old. He instructed him because he wanted to train him in chesed, that he would be bala chesed. And then he brought some cream, cream and milk. And he took a calf, and the calf, asherasa, and what he made, and he gave them all this food. And he was attended them under the tree, and they ate. Said, but he didn't bring the bread. What is the bread? Because then Sarah started to menstruate. Her cycle started to resume that day, and she felt she didn't want to give. Sarah was a prophet too. Subconsciously knew the angels. She didn't want to give them impure bread. Chema, shumas chalav shekiled ma'apanav. This is the fat of the milk that skimmed over the surface. Uben abakar. As each item was ready, he presented it and brought it before them. This is a big question that people ask: how do you give milk and meat together? So that's why Rashi already answered the question as each item was ready. So self-understood, the milk was ready much quicker, and then it took longer for the meat. And by the time the meat came out, they already were half an hour to an hour after the milk. And they ate. They gave the impression that they're eating. Angels. From here we learn that a person should not differ from the prevalent custom. When he comes to somebody's house, he should follow the customs of the house. They asked him, where is Sarah, your wife? And he said, they are in the tent. Now she says that when they asked him, the letters Aleph, Yud, Vav are Elav, have a dot. You see over there. Dot on the Lamed. The dots over them, we have learned in the Brisa in connection with this. Rab Shimon ben Elazar said, whenever the regular undotted letters have more numerals than the dotted, you interpret the regular letters. In the case like here, where the dotted letters are more than the regular letters, you interpret the dotted ones. They also asked Sarah, Ayyay, where is Abraham? This teaches us that a man should ask about the welfare of his host to the man, his host, about his wife, and to the woman, the hostess, about her husband. Baba Metzia, it says, the ministering angels knew where Sarah was, but they nevertheless asked about her to call attention to the fact that she was modest in order to endear her to her husband. Rabbi Yossi Bechanina said they asked where she was in order to send her wine from the cup over which they said a blessing. The question is, all the questions, so Rashi goes to the etiquette that when you come to meet somebody, ask them how your wife is. That would be the etiquette thing to do. And according to the other sages, they actually asked him because they wanted to send a cup of blessing. She was modest. He said to him, surely return to you at the exact same time of year. And and your son or your wife will have a son. Sarah Shemas Pesach Oil, and Sarah listened to this at the end of the entrance of the tent, and she was behind him. As she says, Keis Chayla Shana Abba. It was Passover, and Isaac was born in the next year Passover. We deduce from the fact that Keis at that time, find this word case, the full interpretation of the expression Keis Chaya at this time, which will be alive for you, meaning when you're well and alive. Shav Asher, the angel was not informing Abram that he himself would return. They told him that the agent of God would return. This is similar to the angel of God that said to her, I'll grant you multitude of descendants. Though the angel does not have the ability to grant the multitude, he spoke as an agent of God. Here too, the angel told him this as an agent of God. He said, I'm only here as a messenger. We find this also. Elisha said to Shemana, the Shamnunite woman, and did the designated time later in the prophets, where Elisha blessed a woman, Elisheva, that she would have a child. At this time of the year, you will have embraced a son. And she replied, no, my master, man of God, do not prove yourself unreliable to your maidservant. Meaning the angel who told Sarah said, at the designated time of return, thus guaranteed the promise. So to Elisha answered, those angels who live and endure forever could say, at the designated time of return. But I am only flesh and blood, who lives today and may die tomorrow. So I cannot guarantee that I personally will return. Nevertheless, wherever I am alive or dead, at that appointed time will have a son. Hu Achrov, HaPesach, the entrance was behind the angel. Abraham and Sarah and Abraham and Sarah were old, by Yom and days. And Sarah ceased to have then a woman's cycle. So basically, it was impossible for her to have a child. She had ceased. Menstrual cycle. Sarah laughed, saying, now I am withered. Will my skin become smooth? Besides, my husband is too old to have a child. As she said, she reflected on the innards. And she said, is it possible that these innards, Karbayim, could bear a child? And these breasts have shriveled, could draw milk. Edena, meaning pure skin, as it's written, the meaning in the Gemara, it removes the hair ma'adin from the skin. Another explanation of these words, it was the connotation of the time, Eden, the period of her cycle. So God said to Abraham, why was Sarah laughing? Will I give birth, though I am old? Now she says, Agam emeseling, will I really give birth? Vaniza kanti. Though she said I am old, Scripture altered her words for the sake of peace, because she said he's old. So my innards cannot have a child, and he's old. But the Eibishter Shalom Bayis, here we learn that for Shalom Bayis, you don't have to say the entire truth. And the Eibishter did not to say, not that Avram should feel that his wife thinks he's old. He says she is old. Verse number 14, is anything too wondrous for God? At the exact same time that I designated, I'll return to you. And as sure as you are now alive and well, so you'll be alive and well then. Sarah Ben, and to Sarah, you're going to have a child. Now she says, Ayapala, he discusses, is anything hidden? Is anything set apart, separate, or obscured from me from carrying out my will? A specific time that I have fixed for you yesterday, previously, meaning at this time next year, you're going to be having a beautiful child. That concludes the Chumash for today. So, Alter Rebbe, we're still, I believe, in the 26th letter of the Alter Rebbe. beautiful letter, the Alter Rebbe, which the Alter Rebbe is explaining that Torah Sheba'al Peh, the written law, the oral law, was given in a certain way that every Jew has the capability to reveal this law. And when he reveals this law, not only reveals the law in this world, it reveals the law in all the upper worlds. And he should realize the greatness of revealing the law. Everybody has the capability and therefore should try to be mechadish, try to expound on the teachings of the Torah. The above applies nowadays when the Shekhinah is in exile in Klippas Noga. Hence, the main function of Torah study is to seek out. So now the Alter Rebbe continues. That the Alter Rebbe explained yesterday. That especially today we're in Gullus. So that's our opportunity. That's the opportunity. Grab the opportunity today in Gullus when you're in exile. So you'll be able now to reveal hidden aspects of the Torah. Before it's too late, Mashiach comes, you're not going to have that opportunity anymore. Now is the time. Hence the current concentration of the laws of Issa v'Heter, Kosher and Pasa, and the like. That's why it's important to learn all the laws of the Torah. Because maybe you'll learn the law and you'll expound upon it and you'll reveal something new that was never revealed before. And the truth is that we, Baruch Hashem, that's why the rabbis and the sages and all the codifiers today, they're revealing unbelievable things. Because there are many things that today the world is different, and we're still connecting it to the laws of the Torah of the Torah Shebiksav and Torah Shema. We're still connecting it to the previous to the Torah way it was written, the way it was given thousands of years ago. Why? Because the Torah continues to be revealed in the world as the world progresses. Say Sashina Meklippas Nega, when the Shekhinah will emerge from this covering, after the extraction of the sparks will be completed, Shiach comes. And the evil clipper will be separated from the good of holiness. As the verse says, and all the workers of evil will be dispersed. And the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is the Klippas Noga, which prevails during the time of exile, will no longer be dominant. Why? Because the good will be departed from it. It's only be good. Klippas Noga is influenced by the virtue of its minimal component of good. As soon as this is extracted, Klippas Noga will no domination of whatsoever. It's going to be gone. Because good is going to separate. The second you separate, that's why sheker, darkness has no truth. You bring a little light and it goes away. You take away the good from the bad disappears. And that's the whole concept of Klippat Noga. Klippat Noga means a cover that shines, meaning that there's a cover over it. Reveal the shine, the cover disappears. Azai, like a cover, like an apple. Take you throw away the skin, you throw it away. Why? Because it's not important anymore. Now you reveal the apple. That's the apple. That's where you had the whole apple to begin with. So then the people will engage in Torah study and the observance of commandments. You can still do Torah mitzvahs, but not in order to exact sparks. It will be for the concept of Kedusha alone. It won't be for the concept of revealing godliness. Godliness is revealed, as in the present situation of Gullus. In order to bring about the consumption of Yechudim, unions of marriage and spheres, then it'll be total the concept of the way it's not Atzilus. You'll see it in this world. Even to bring about more sublime than that effect through the present Torah study, in order to call forth more sublime lights, transcending even the world of emanation. This is explained in the Arizal of Blessed Memory. And everything will be accomplished by the means of Pnimis HaTorah, Chassidus. By the means of Pnimis HaTorah, to esoteric dimension of Torah, by performance of the commandments with lofty, spiritual, mystical devotion, directing to drawing down to sublime lights for divine luminary above. Because the root of the commandments is exceedingly high. The blessed, infinite light of God that is even loftier than the world of Atzilus. That we find is an expression in written that when Mashiach comes, the mitzvah telis laslo is expression. The commandment will be, so to say, bottom. We won't have to do the commandments when Mashiach comes. It's this interesting expression. What that means? Well, that this is talking about the resurrection of the dead. Talking about a whole new thing, Torah Chadosh. That's what the expression Torah Chadosh. This whole concept. It's a very lofty, which Rambam writes. You have to just wait to understand what that means. But that is later on. About Limaisa Mashiach came to its man. But the time Mashiach before Tchias HaMeisim, there won't be bottle. At that time, the observance of mitzvah will draw down to the world even a higher level of godliness than they draw down by the current observance of mitzvah. If I try to study, will then mainly direct it at the pneumius, the innermost, the mystical depths of the commandments and the hidden reasons, simply gaining insight into the dynamics of the above-mentioned yichudim, and thereby understanding by the scrupulous performance of the commandments bring about the supernal unions which give birth to renewed diffusions of divine light that animates this world. The revealed aspect of the Torah, however, will be manifest and known to every Jew by innate and unforgotten knowledge. Right? Because we all know that the truth is that everybody is taught, the Gemara says, everybody is taught in Torah in the mother's stomach. And then he forgets it. And then he needs to be reminded. He has to go learn and remind himself what he has learned. Mashiach comes, there won't be any shikha. There won't be any forgetfulness. And therefore, everybody will know what's right. That's the concept. That's the aspect. There won't be any shikha is the biggest clipper. Forgetfulness is the biggest covering in life. We keep on forgetting. We can't remember anything. And that's the problem. That's why the Gemara says you should learn something 100 times. Because we shikha, the clip of shikha, that we can't remember. So therefore, there won't be shikha. That's going to be the biggest clipper taken away from the world. Shikha. And therefore, everybody will know everything. Because they're born knowing it. So the whole Torah will be known to everybody. There won't be any concept that a person doesn't know. He won't have to go learn Torah because he'll push it though. So what he has to learn? He has to learn the spirituality. That is something that he has to learn. That is something that he has to gain by. That he can learn, because that's unlimited. What to do and not to do, you can look in Shulchan Aruch. And you'll know it because it'll be an innate aspect. You'll know it. It'll be just a natural concept. Right now, you have to even reveal the Shulchan Aruch. Because you're shikha, because you forgot it, and you got to reveal it. But when Mashiach comes, you won't be shikha. Everybody will know everything. And you won't have to go learn. You won't have to go to study, because you'll know it. So what you have to study? Study spirituality. Because that's unlimited, and they keep on going higher and higher in the spiritual worlds. And only the mixed multitudes, and not Jews, will have to toil even the aspect of Torah. Because they will not have merited to taste in the tree of life in the pnimis HaTorah of the commandments. And therefore today, the more you learn Chassidus, the more you'll have Chassidus in the world, and Mashiach comes. But if you don't learn nothing, you're going to have to start again. They will therefore need to engage in the Torah Mishnah in order to weaken their occupation with Torah, the power of the Sittah that cleaves to them. That will not dominate them to cause them to sin. This is written, the sinner of the age of 100 will be cursed. This refers to the sinners of the mixed multitude. Thus, even when Mashiach comes, there will be sinners amongst the mixed multitude, since Sitra Achra cleaves to them. They will therefore require means to which to weaken it and not to sin. Nor will they need only only the revealed aspect in order to repel the Sitra Achra. In addition, practical levels are neat and detailed, the ruling of prohibition and purities more than the Jews. So the ladders, these people, the mixed multitude, I don't know exactly what this means, or the goyim that are going to still be in the world. Nothing will occur. The ritual, they'll know the because there shall be not befall any sin to the righteous. In the era of Mashiach, all Jews will be at the level of righteous. It's also possible and indeed probable that the Jewish people know all the fundamentals of the revealed plane of the Torah, from the Pnimius HaTorah. Avram Avinu, Alav Shalom, as Avram Avinu. How did Avram Avinu? The Gemara relates Avram Avinu fulfilled the entire Torah, even before it was given. Now, there are passages and commandments in which cannot possibly have revealed on a physical level. Inscribed in tiny parchments or scroll within a tefillin, for example, are biblical passages which record the exit of Egypt, a land in which his descendants had not yet been exiled. The mode of Abraham's performance of the commandments was thus spiritual and esoteric. As the Alter Rebbe explained in Torah, so when it says Moshe Avram Avinu put on tefillin, well, he must have had something in the tefillin. The question is, what was written there? And that's why it was a more spiritual concepts. It was not the actual pasuk of Yetzias Mitzrayim, because Yetzias Mitzrayim didn't happen yet. Avram thus knew all the revealed aspect of Torah with its esoteric core. And that's why Avram Avinu merited to do all mitzvahs in an esoteric way. The time is to come, all Jews will know the Torah in a similar manner. So they'll know it also not only the law, what to put on tefillin, what is tefillin, they'll know the esoteric meaning of the tefillin. Therefore, there's no need to occupy themselves and live in HaTorah because you're going to know the Torah. With the Lord defining what's permitted and prohibited, because you'll know it all. By the time in the second temple of conscious, although scholars did not derive the sustenance from the illiterate, as the Gemara says, but they had their own fields and vineyards, they needed to involve themselves in the law itself because they were in Gullus. Not only for attack application, because they were Talmidei Chachamim, but because the main purpose of divine service to reveal the hidden things. To weaken the power of this sitra achra, of this evil, to reveal the sparks of holiness by the means of their Torah study. As I explained elsewhere. Yuvan, Hativ, and after all these words, you can understand very clearly, you'll understand the quoted statement of what's written in the Zohar. The Zohar says, the tree of good and evil, which is what's the Torah, what's permitted and what's prohibited. That's which means the covering that shines, which is the majority of this world. As it's written in Kabbalah. That moment, until Mashiach arrives, the dominant influence in the material world is Klippas Nega, the tree of good and evil. After his arrival, however, the dominion will cease, the dominion will cease, and man's divine service will be directed to extracting the sparks of holiness hidden in the material world, but to bring about even a higher supernal union. The Alter Rebbe ends off his letter, V'dai le'mevin, and this will suffice to those who understand. That completes the Tanya for today. That completes the 26th letter of the Tanya. The Rebbe writes on the 11th day of Cheshvan. First of all, Tillim today is chapter 60 to chapter 65. This does the Yom Yom is just the Maimer Pasal Yo in the glasses by my father. Frierdiker Rebbe writes, began to write in the year 1891 or 1892. Wish you all a wonderful and beautiful day, and I hope to see you all at 10 o'clock. We'll learn some Tanya again, come to the Chabad, not Chabad, to JEI, to the school, or on this Zoom number. I wish you all a wonderful, beautiful day. We'll see you all tomorrow, also 8 o'clock. We'll continue the Chita.